Hello there. My name is Murray. I'm with my co-host Corey. And we are the Real Guys, and this is Siren Radio, and this is the Real Show with two E's. The music you just heard was "The Man with a Golden Gun," performed by Lulu from "The Man with a Golden Gun" in 1974, the film with the same name. How was that year, Corey?
Honestly, couldn't tell you. I was in a food coma.
Oh, you're in an induced food coma. Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, I was
you
just
ate so much in 1973.
Exactly, man. It's great food in 1974, man.
It was. You ate too much of that pre-coated mini-more rotisserie chicken. You were just stuffing your face.
Cream.
Salad
cream.
Salad cream. Too much of it.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. We've got a packed show for you today for our special broadcast. As always, I'm accompanied by my co-host Corey. How are you doing today, Corey?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you. I've noticed every single time I say it, I always say I'm doing very well. It's just my general response. So I thought I'd change it up today.
You do. Well, you're always doing very well. You're just never not very well.
Yeah, I'm always very well.
You are. You're always. But today we're bringing you an instalment of a new special series. Are you excited for this, Corey?
I'm very excited for this.
The acting spotlight will be serving as a tribute, remembering and honouring a great actor or actress that is either still starring in their films today or unfortunately no longer with us. So without further ado, Corey, who else could have had a career like this? I'm talking Bond villain, I'm talking Dracula, evil wizard, Sherlock Holmes, Mycroft Holmes, Frankenstein's monster, Sith Lord, Rasputin, pirate captain, Fu Manchu, Ramses I, a dragon, and even Willy Wonka Sr. This episode will, of course, revolve around the one and only Sir Christopher Lee. Sir Christopher himself.
Very, very big fan.
Yes,
very big fan.
Sir Christopher Frank Carradine Lee, born 27th of May, 1922, to June the 7th, 2015. 93. What an age to go out on, eh?
It's just a good. It's a good. It's been how many generations has he been in?
Oh God, that was
acting wise as well. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, it is. It's a. I think of all those roles. He's been in so much.
Exactly.
Been so much, but with such a storied life, you of course get to you see a lot, don't you? You see a lot, you know a lot, and there's a lot of facts about Christopher Lee, and we have compiled our top 5 Christopher Lee facts. Are you ready to give your facts?
I'm very ready.
I've got my facts. I'll start off, shall I? I will. I'll begin. During World War II, Lee joined the Royal Air Force, but wasn't allowed to fly because of a problem with his optic nerve uncovered during a medical exam. So instead, he became an intelligence officer for the Air Force in their long-range desert patrol, a forerunner of the SAS, which is Britain's special forces, of course. He fought the Nazis in North Africa, often having up to 5 missions a day. During this time, he helped retake Sicily, contracted malaria 6 times in a single year, and climbed Mount Vesuvius 3 days before it erupted on March 17th, 1944. It's becoming that weird thing where I now know so much that, somehow Christopher Lee is always, at important moments in history.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a time traveller.
Yeah.
He's always just there. He's always just there when it's happening. Like Mount Vesuvius erupted on March 17th, 1944. 3 days before then, Christopher Lee just climbed it.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
That's so amazing, isn't it? The fact he's always involved in such pivotal historical moments.
Yeah.
What's your 5th fact?
So my first one, I just find it quite amusing. Obviously, Christopher Lee has a massive career spanning tons and tons of credits.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's basically what he's known for. He is the guy that's in pretty much everything.
Yeah.
However, would you believe me if I said that he had trouble getting roles?
Really?
Apparently. Now, he's a very, very tall man. Is Christopher Lee.
He
6'5".
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't think he was that tall.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently in his early career, he just couldn't get any supporting roles because he was taller than all the main actors.
Oh dear.
And I find that very amusing.
Oh, I find that very amusing because back in the day, your leading man was supposed to be,
Yeah, exactly.
Tall, handsome man. You don't want Christopher Lee coming in. He's too tall.
6'5"
He's too
Christopher
handsome.
Lee.
I know. 6'5" Christopher Lee comes in. You don't want him leading. as a supporting character. He's taller than your leading man. You don't like that back in the day. Of course, nowadays height isn't really accounted for, is it?
No, it's not.
Just, if you're tall, cool. That's what I think.
Yeah, tall, great.
Yeah, great. Get a tall guy in,
Yeah.
But moving back to World War II for my fourth fact, I'm counting down, you see. I'm going from 5 to 1. You're going to 1 to 5.
I like that. It's opposites.
Thank you. At some point during the war, he was moved from the long-range desert patrol into Winston Churchill's even more elite, the Special Operations Executive, which was also known as the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, whose missions are still classified to this day, but involved, and I quote, conducting espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in occupied Europe against the Axis powers. So, the group of the Special Operations Executive also included Ian Fleming.
Yes,
the writer of the James Bond books, which I think is just Christopher Lee's like a real life James Bond.
He is. I think I read a couple of times that Fleming loosely based it on Lee. I think he kind of knew who he was.
Yeah, I think they weren't they? I hesitate to say they were related.
It's something like I think it's like Lee's mother or something is a relation or something like.
Yeah, I think they're cousins, second cousins, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think Ian Fleming wanted Christopher Lee to play Dr. No in Dr. No, but the role was already cast. The role was already cast, so instead, unfortunately, after Ian Fleming passed, Christopher Lee finally got the role of a Bond villain as Francisco Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun. It is a very cool name.
Great name.
Very cool name. Very befitting of Christopher Lee. So, what is your next fact?
So, I'm gonna kick it forward a bit.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, Christopher Lee, right? Famously known for many roles.
Yes.
One of them being Count Dooku.
Oh yes, Count Dooku.
However,
Master Yoda.
He was off.
I wonder how many Count Dooku lines I can
as soon as I said that.
I wonder how many Count Dooku lines I can fit into this episode. Shall we see?
Oh God, here we go.
Watch the pride, double the fall. Anyway, go on.
I'm going to give you another line in a minute. He was offered a role of someone else.
Yeah.
Originally, he was supposed to be good old. Where's it gone? Where is it gone?
Wasn't he supposed to be given Peter Cushing's role?
Shambles. Yeah, he was supposed to be Tarkin.
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin in A New Hope. Yeah.
And then he didn't. He didn't take it. He didn't want it.
Oh right, okay. I thought he was doing something else at the time.
It might have been.
I thought he was doing. He's a very busy man, especially in the 70s.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's doing all sorts. But I've put two facts together because they intertwine, so it makes sense. That wasn't the first time him and Peter Cushing have worked together. No,
they were quite good friends, weren't they?
Yeah, they've worked on 24 films, apparently.
Oh my, 20! I didn't even know that much. 24, dear.
Yeah, apparently, whenever or most times Lee was Dracula, Peter Cushing was basically always
Van Helsing.
Yeah.
That was those days of Hammer horror, wasn't it? They worked together.
Well, exactly. 24 films.
Horror. Yeah. 24 films. Yeah, well, I think that's great as well. That in 1977, with the first Star Wars, when it was just called The Star Wars, Christopher Lee could have been Grand Moff Tarkin, but instead it went to Peter Cushing, who was his friend. So, and then later on, obviously, not keen to. Yeah. Then of course, not keen to repeat his mistake of not starring in a Star Wars film. He turns up as Count Dooku.
Can't come back as Count Dooku.
Yeah. Surely you could do better. I says, Master Kenobi, you disappoint me. Yoda holds you in such high esteem. I could do more.
I bet you can.
We'll wait until I pop up my next Count Dooku line. The Force is with us, Master Sidious. Yeah, okay. At age 17, on a trip to the French Riviera to visit his sister, he stayed with journalist Webb Miller. a famous World War One journalist. On one day, he was outside a prison in Paris and saw the death of German murderer Eugene Weidmann outside of the prison in Paris, the last person in France to be publicly executed by guillotine. I know.
Yeah.
I think that's a great. I think again, it's another instance of he was there.
He's part of history again.
Yeah, he's part of history. He's there, right place, right time. Christopher Lee, just seeing the last man ever to be publicly executed by guillotine in France, no less, the inventor of the damn thing. So, I think that's.
I don't know how he does it. He's just
I don't know
always
how he
there.
does it either. Such a storied
He's just
life.
always there.
Yeah. Now, what's your next fact?
So, this is going to take a little bit of explaining to do.
Right. Okay. Take your time.
Yeah, I will. It's fine. So now there's a thing. Apparently, I've not heard of it until recently, actually. But there's a thing which is called the 6 degrees of Bacon. Are you familiar?
The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'm familiar.
Yes. Which is, I'll explain it for people who aren't aware.
Right.
Basically, you can go from Kevin Bacon. It's like if you ever played a game on like Wikipedia where you're okay, I want to get to America from like another Wikipedia page. It's basically the same thing. You go from Kevin Bacon to another actor.
Yeah, I think Kevin Bacon once said that he's connected to everyone in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think on average you can go through 3 actors.
Yeah, you can go through 3. The average is 3, isn't it? No one's higher than 3.
However,
Kevin Bacon.
Someone is higher than 3.
It's called the Oracle of Bacon as well, if you're looking for it, dear listener. There's a look up the Oracle of Bacon. Who is higher than 3?
Christopher Lee was given a Guinness World Record for being the most connected actor.
Is it? How many steps to everyone?
2.5.
Oh, Christopher Lee. Take that, Kevin Bacon. Beaten by Christopher Lee.
I love that. I saw the headline. I looked at what I saw was the 6 degrees of bacon. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Oh, you didn't know what 6 degrees of bacon was? No, it's also called the Oracle of Bacon. It's because indeed Kevin Bacon once said that he was connected to everyone in Hollywood, and it takes no more than 3 steps to get to. Most people are 2. But some people are 3. No one is more than 3.
Yeah, it's like if I've got it written down that if you want to get from Kevin Bacon to Clooney.
Right, George Clooney, let's do it.
You go Kevin Bacon, you go Flatliners, with Julia Roberts. And then from Julia Roberts to Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. And then you get to Clooney. Right,
wow. That's very succinct. But with Christopher Lee, you can get to 2.5, which is even faster. There should be a 6 degrees of Christopher Lee. The Oracle of Lee. We need it.
Yeah, Oracle of Lee. That sounds great.
It does. We do need an Oracle of Lee.
Oracle of Lee is a great name.
Also, to advance on your point about the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
In 2007, he was given the Guinness World Record for most screen credits, having appeared in 244 films and television movies. He also holds the record for tallest leading actor at 6'5", which you've mentioned. And I love this one. Also, a Guinness World Record for starring in most films with a sword fight. For 17 credits.
How many records has this man got?
I don't know. He's at least got 3. Film with a sword fight. I love that. It's just, yes, the film has to include Christopher Lee and a sword fight. And Christopher Lee has to participate in said sword fight.
He was. This isn't one of my facts, but he was a fencer.
He was, yeah. I think I've seen a YouTube video or something of him in his house talking about different swords. He's got like a rapier, he's got like a foil and a saber and stuff.
Yeah, so like it makes sense that he does sword fights.
Even going back to Count Dooku, his lightsaber is designed on a rapier with a curved hilt, because it's easier for Christopher Lee to wield such a thing, and also it reflects Count Dooku because he's from an older, simpler time of these lightsaber duelists, where you would have these very elaborate and elegant duels with your curved saber. So there you go. I've become more powerful than any Jedi.
Now, earlier you mentioned, obviously, he played an evil wizard.
Yes.
This is in relation to Saruman.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, Saruman.
However, before Saruman, he played another wizard.
All right.
Now, obviously, Christopher Lee was a big fan of Tolkien.
He was a huge fan of Christopher Tolkien. I think he met Tolkien at one point. I think he's the only member of the Lord of the Rings cast to have met J.R. Tolkien.
I read that is correct, and I read that he apparently met him in a pub. And
he met him in his pub, didn't he?
Which is great.
I think the story was
this in the right place?
He was again, yeah. I think the story was Christopher Lee was going around Oxford or something, or some place in London, probably Oxford, and he went into a pub that turned out to be J.R.R. Tolkien's, like the pub that he'd always go to.
Yeah.
And he met him, and they talk about it. And every year since they met, Christopher Lee would read Lord of the Rings, the whole series, every year.
Yeah.
Which is just
right, big fan.
Yeah.
So he's so much of a fan, but when he found out there were talks of the Lord of the Rings films being made from book to film, he joined the TV show. There's a Robin Hood TV show that came out, called New Adventures of Robin Hood. Apparently, I haven't seen it. It's not good.
Right, okay.
He joined it for a specific reason. He joined it so in the Robin Hood TV show, he could play a wizard. So he could show people how good he was at playing a wizard.
Oh, great.
And then sent it to Peter Jackson. I was like, look, there I'm playing a wizard.
Well, I think he was the original choice for Gandalf, wasn't he?
He was. And then I think Peter Jackson was like, because Gandalf does a lot of horse riding and stuff.
Yeah, he's a bit too old for that.
He thought he wasn't fit. So he gave him Saruman.
He was more fit for Saruman, to be honest.
He was more fit for Saruman.
He's got that resonant, powerful voice of Saruman.
Powerful voice, he's got the evil face, the evil eyebrows.
Evil face, evil eyebrow, evil eyes. He's got everything.
He's got great eyebrows.
He's got the intensity. He has got a pair of eyebrows. My God, has he got a pair of eyebrows?
Exactly.
The eyebrow game is pretty strong. But with all good wizards,
yes,
we need good music. And Lord of the Rings has a great soundtrack, as we're aware.
It does.
But so does Christopher Lee. Because his first foray into singing metal music came when he worked with the power metal group Rhapsody of Fire on their album Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2, The Dark Secret, which is just a title, isn't it?
It's great.
Which is an amazing title. In 2004, when he was already in his 80s. However, by his 90s, he had his own metal band called Charlemagne.
Yes.
With 2 albums, By the Sword and the Cross, which released in 2010, and this is a good title, The Omens and Death, which released in 2013 when he was 91. And it's I know it's not our weekly rec, but listeners, go out and listen to Charlemagne. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on everywhere. Just go and listen to Charlemagne, because Christopher Lee is absolutely, what an awesome thing to do when you're 91 as a fan of metal music, which he was, as a fan of metal music and power metal groups. He really, and I listened to some of the stuff last night, to be honest. I listened to Charlemagne's second album, The Omens and Death, and it's really, really good. It is. And he doesn't exactly do singing. It's more like spoken word, I suppose.
Yeah.
He goes on great. He talks about, loads of metal. He talks about thunder and lightning and blood and stuff. And it's very it is very power metal, but also it's very Christopher Lee. Like, I could imagine him as an evil wizard talking about this stuff. So it's great, and I'd implore you, listener, to go out and listen to some Charlemagne stuff. But it's great. So what's your fact? Your next fact?
So you mentioned Charlemagne. You mentioned his metal stuff. However, there is another album that exists from Christopher Lee.
Really, what is it?
His first venture into the world of music came in 1998.
Right.
And again, he loves his fantastic names. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The album is called Christopher Lee Sings Devils, Rogues, and Other Villains.
Oh, of course he does.
And to be fair, it's not as obviously it's not as big as like Charlemagne and stuff. But from what I can tell, it's kind of like a southern kind of. I don't know if I call it like full country, but it's that kind of thing.
He's got a country album as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, he does everything. He does metal. He does power metal. He does he does country. He does everything.
He did a version of a song called Ghost Riders in the Sky.
Right.
And it's this really kind of sinister kind of fit. It's great.
He was going to do opera at one time.
Well, he used to do it in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah. I think he was approached by like an opera producer or something to become an opera star, but he wanted to do acting instead.
Yeah, I think it's his grandparents were like partly it's someone in his family, I believe it's his grandparents, were partly responsible to bring an opera to Australia or something.
Yeah.
Something along those
lines. Related to the Sydney Opera House or something like that.
Yeah, probably. He's related to everyone.
Yeah.
Finding out.
He's got a lot of connections, obviously, as we know.
He does.
But we would be remiss when talking about Christopher Lee if we didn't talk about his amazing roles and his most famous roles.
Yes.
So I think each of us we've got our top 5 Christopher Lee roles, have we not?
We have indeed.
Right. But first off, you'll be surprised to know that Count Dooku isn't actually on my list.
Okay.
As big a Star Wars fan as I am, I thought, well, he's only in episode 2 and episode 3. He dies in episode 3. Spoilers. But I think Star Wars has never had such a classy villain as Count Dooku. Like he's suave, he's sophisticated, he's Christopher Lee to the T, and he will be an honorary 5th place. I think he will be an honorary 5th place, Count Dooku. So, however, who is your 5 in your top 5 Christopher Lee roles?
Well, funny you should mention that. My number 5 is Count Dooku.
It is right. Okay, why is Count Dooku on your list then?
He's so with Star Wars, as far as like villains go, he is one of my favorites. The reason why he isn't higher is because of what you just mentioned.
Right.
And in the fact of the whole saga, I guess, of Star Wars, he's only in the. I'm not ignoring like the Clone Wars, which isn't Christopher Lee, but it's still Dooku.
Yeah.
He is only in the 2 films.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put him higher than 5, but it's still an iconic like role.
It is Count Dooku. I think he's probably one of the best parts of Attack of the Clones. I was going to say
100%.
that even when it's like a bad film, Christopher Lee is never bad.
No,
Christopher Lee's always top of his game. And even when you walk out of the theatre, you think, oh well, that film wasn't great, but Christopher Lee was amazing.
Yeah.
And no one has ever walked out of a film and gone, that film was great, but Christopher Lee was so bad. No one's ever said that, ever.
No.
Everyone always says, oh, the film wasn't great, but Christopher Lee was so cool, which he was, as Count Dooku. He got to duel Yoda, he got to duel Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Exactly.
He chopped off Anakin's arm, he did loads of cool spin moves, he used Force. It was the first use of Force lightning since Return of the Jedi, Count Dooku.
Yeah. Darth
Maul never used it. Count Dooku was the one that used out the Force lightning in episode 2, which was amazing. And he had that cool voice. He did that. He had that great scene with Obi-Wan Kenobi, where Obi-Wan's like strung up in that hologram prison or whatever, and Count Dooku tells him about Darth Sidious. He comes into the room and he goes, "Oh no, my friend, this is a mistake. Terrible mistake. They've gone too far. This is madness."
So, if Dooku is not your number 5, and obviously you're a big fan, you've quoted him, God knows how many times this episode already.
Yeah, I will continue to quote Count Dooku as we kick off.
If he is not your number 5, then who is your number 5?
My number 5 is Dr. Catheter from Gremlins 2.
Oh, okay.
The new batch in 1990.
Interesting.
Now, I know that a lot of people. I know you're a fan of Gremlins.
I did like some Gremlins.
Okay, I know you're a fan of Gremlins. You've seen Gremlins 2 from 1990?
Yeah.
Where it's like Die Hard, but with Gremlins?
Yeah.
They're all trapped in that big building with the science and stuff. The scientific ones. There's the brain gremlin with the glasses. There's the bat gremlin. There's a spider gremlin, which is amazing. Christopher Lee is Dr. Catheter, who is the head of like the bio research lab in the building, and I think he was got on purely as a reference to his role as Dracula.
Yeah,
I think every time Christopher Lee's on screen, they play this like sort of very high violin tune.
Yeah,
especially during the scene where all the gremlins are mutating and stuff. Every time they have a shot of Christopher Lee, they like play the almost like the Dracula sort of violin, like the da da da, that type of thing. Whenever they show Christopher Lee, he's like looking horrified at these great gremlins who are coming out and that sort of thing. And I think he lends his seniority, his experience, and especially in horror. And I think it was a great addition to the Gremlins franchise and a great addition to the film. I think Christopher Lee always adds something. You always look and go, oh look, it's Christopher Lee. You're in for a good time. You're in for a good time when Christopher Lee's on screen. You are. You're in for a good time. So
yeah, exactly.
That's why he's my number. That's why Dr. Catheter is my number 5 for Christopher Lee.
Okay.
Who's your number 4?
So, again, this is great. I love this. You briefly mentioned my next number.
Right. Okay.
Now, my number 4 is arguably one of his most iconic roles.
Right. Okay.
Which is Dracula.
Oh, you put Dracula number 4.
I put Dracula as a whole number 4 for one specific reason of I haven't seen much of his old Hammer horror stuff.
Right. Okay. I'm a big Hammer horror fan. So.
Yeah, so I can't comment on the actual films, but Dracula and specifically Christopher Lee's Dracula is so iconic. He can't not be in the mix. So he has to be in there. Because when you think Dracula, you probably think his. You think the slick back hair and all that sort of stuff. That's what.
Yeah, he's so cool as Dracula. He's so suave and so cool. It's I love Christopher Lee's Dracula. Is just one in a million portrayal. I think there was no other. It's almost like everyone that does Dracula now, they're doing a phrase of Christopher Lee's Dracula. It's that sort of. It's that prowess on screen. It's that presence that really gave Sir Christopher the definitive portrayal of Dracula.
So good. Good.
My number 4 is it's sort of a similar reason to yours. It's not Dracula. It is Sir Henry Baskerville from The Hound of the Baskervilles in 1959. Purely because, once again, he is alongside longtime friend Peter Cushing, who plays Sherlock Holmes. And he has a lot of good scenes with him. It really shows that even though Sir Henry Baskerville isn't actually the villain in Hound of the Baskervilles, I have watched it, but he's one of the witnesses, one of the suspects, and I think he plays that he's one of those actors who always has a powerful role. He's always like the monster, the Dracula, the Sith Lord, But he can also be a leading man, like when he played Rasputin, when he played Fu Manchu, when he played Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
he's got that duality, and I think and also I think his voice and his inflection, it can be powerful, it can be scary, it can be intimidating, but it can also be very warm and very full of heart. Which I think is an amazing,
very, very good pick. To be fair, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, you're not expecting Henry Baskerville.
I was not expecting Henry Baskerville. No, I wasn't.
I've seen The Hound of the Baskervilles in 1959, and I think Christopher Lee is probably one of the best parts to it. It's him and Peter Cushing really carry that film.
Yeah.
Him and Peter Cushing, Sherlock Holmes, really carry that film. And Peter Cushing played Sherlock for a long time, so it was good to have. It was good to have his friend Christopher Lee in one of these films.
So, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have gone for the man who probably has the best name of any character Christopher Lee has played.
Right. Okay. Who is this?
I have gone for Francisco.
Mm.
He's made it at number 3.
Francisco
Obviously.
Scaramanga.
Yep, obviously
the
from
man with
Bond.
the golden gun. Right.
Exactly.
Cool. Can you give us a rundown? Can you give us a description of why you've chosen this as your number 3 Christopher Lee role?
He is one of, if not, maybe, is he my favourite? He's one of, if not my favourite Bond villain.
Yeah.
He's, I mean, like, is obviously, like I mentioned before, classic Bond is more my thing than the modern stuff.
Yes.
But he is that, like, perfect classic just Bond villain.
Yeah, I think in the book, in the book of the Man with the Golden Gun, Francisco Scaramanga is this. He's just a thug, basically. He's not the big villain that Lee plays him, and Lee plays him as almost like a darker side of Bond.
Yeah.
I really prefer the film version. I know about the book's portrayal, but I also know how Lee changed it up to fit his own style, and it really does. It's also arguably that Francisco Scaramanga is actually the good guy in that film.
Yeah.
Because his plan was to use like clean renewable energy on his island.
Yeah.
And like sell his. Granted, he did want to sell that heat death beam to the to people, but also he wanted clean energy. He had that big sort of power plant thing that was using solar power and that sort of stuff. And in comes James Bond with his is Walther PPK ruining his plans. But,
yeah, exactly. What's he think he's doing?
Exactly. I'm on Team Francisco Scaramanga, to be honest. He's got the cool golden gun. He's got the golden gun. I love that gadget. It's great. The fact that, like,
to be fair, you don't have to tell me what both of the things are. If you told me, right, pick the team of Bond or Scaramanga, I'm picking a Scaramanga just based on that name.
Yeah. Oh, I love Scaramanga. But it's the fact the golden gun is like it's like a pen. It's like a lighter. It's like a cigarette case or whatever, and then he like transforms it into the golden gun.
Yeah.
And then I love that. And also, Man with the Golden Gun, probably not the best Bond film. It was panned at the time, but Christopher Lee is always, again, as I say, he's always the best part of it.
Yeah, he is.
Especially in the later scenes. He's not in much of the start, but especially in the later scenes, they really give him time to shine, and it's just great. Also, let's not forget Francisco Scaramanga with the triple nipple.
Yes,
he's got the 3 nipples.
He has indeed.
Which is a feature of why when Bond tries to disguise himself, he has to use that fake nipple. But still, Francisco Scaramanga is a very solid pick for number 3, and
Who's your number 3?
I'm almost jealous that I didn't pick Francisco Scaramanga on my list. He's not on my list. My number 3 is Lord Summerisles from The Wicker Man, 1973. Now, that was a very enthusiastic nice, so I assume you know who I'm referring to.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. The Wicker Man 1973, just amazing. Amazing horror, amazing psychological, almost religious film. And Lord Summerisles, Christopher Lee, is, I mean, especially in those last few moments where, he's got his hair all up there and he's shouting but he plays that at the start, especially. He plays that sort of reserved, calm figure, and then he turns into the explosion of just emotion. He's waving his arms everywhere, and he's shouting. And even The Wicker Man itself, The Wicker Man 1973 is really amazing. It's a must-watch for anyone who's a fan of horror, who's a fan of Christopher Lee. It's, good filmmaking in general. The Wicker Man 1973 is absolutely amazing, and Lord Summerisles is probably one of the best parts of it.
Oh, definitely.
Of an already great film.
100%.
Yeah. But let's go. Our final 2.
Final 2. Well,
final 2. Who is your?
I can tell you.
Number 2.
We have, for the first time on this list, we have a crossover.
Do we? Right.
Yes. We both got the same character in our list.
Right. Okay.
I think it's time we talk about Lord Summerisle a little bit more.
Right, okay, come on then. Why have you put Lord Summerisle for your number 2?
He is my number 2.
Right, okay.
Close in the bottom. He's so good. He's so good. Because I remember. I think the first time I watched The Wicker Man was a couple of years ago now, and I remember watching that film. I knew the plot of the film beforehand. I remember watching it, go, oh, you know what? Seems reasonable. Yeah, it seems alright. And then it's that slow transition of you just kind of start to realize, wait a minute, he's not quite right here. And it's like you said, it's at the end, it's that complete, almost opposite of what he is at the start. At the start, he's, like you said, he's reserved. He's a guy who just seems like he's doing his own thing. And at the end, he's this complete accentuated. He's got all his arms going everywhere, and he's he's really animated sort of character, and it's such a good performance. It's great. It's arguably one of my favorite characters in horror, just in general. It's so good. He is the star of the film.
Yeah. Oh, he's great.
So he's the star of the film.
When you're making a film such as The Wicker Man, especially in 1973, Christopher Lee is the man to get as. I think the role was written for him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think I remember watching an interview where about The Wicker Man, and Christopher Lee said that the role was for him, the role was written for him, which was just perfect. Because even in the 70s, especially with horror, Christopher Lee was the man to get, which is why my number 2 is Count Dracula.
Okay.
My number 2 is Dracula because I'm such a big fan of Hammer Horror, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee and their time together. And do you know how many times Christopher Lee's played Dracula?
I'm pretty sure it's double digits.
It is double digits.
It is, okay.
It is double digits.
I'll have a guess. 12.
12. Ooh, very close.
Okay.
It's 11.
Oh, okay.
It's 11. It's Dracula 1958, which was retitled The Horror of Dracula. That's the first time he played him. That's the first time he played Dracula. Then we've got Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Dracula Has Risen from the Grave in 1968. Taste the Blood of Dracula, which I think is an awesome title. Taste the Blood of Dracula is great. Count Dracula in 1970. The Scars of Dracula, Dracula AD in 1972. The Satanic Rites of Dracula, which is cool. Dracula and Son. Then he also had a couple of cameos. Uncle was a vampire, where he played a vampire. He also cameoed as Dracula in the 1969 British comedy The Magic Christians. He was also in One More Time, where he played Dracula again. But yeah, I think it's an iconic role. Everyone thinks Christopher Lee, everyone thinks Dracula,
100%.
It was one of his most iconic, probably if not his most iconic role with Hammer Horror and with Dracula. He did after a while. He did sort of fall out of love with it because when you play a role that many times, there's only so much you can do. I remember the last time when the sort of Hammer Horror started to devolve a bit. Christopher Lee refused to say anything in his last appearance in Dracula because there's a very famous interaction when Christopher Lee was cast as Frankenstein's monster. Peter Cushing was playing Professor Frankenstein himself.
Yes, he was.
Christopher Lee barged into Peter Cushing's dressing room and demanded to say, why doesn't he have any lines? He was like, why aren't I saying anything? It was one of his first roles with Hammer Horror. I think he'd already played Dracula. And Peter Cushing got up rather calmly and said something to the effect of, you're lucky I've read the script.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You're lucky you don't have to say the lines. I have to say things. But Dracula is one of his most famous roles. He really owns it when he's on screen, and arguably he's what you're there to see.
Well,
You're there to watch Christopher Lee's Dracula and just see him in all his glory. So, and again, a role where he's played more than 10 times is just you own that role.
No, 100%, 100%.
That's why I've picked Dracula as my number 2. I wonder, have we picked the same number 1?
I mean, I'd be surprised if my number 1 isn't your number 1. I'd be surprised if you didn't mention it.
Right. Okay. Let's go with who is your number 1 then.
My number 1 is formerly the white, ended up the grey. My number 1 is Saruman.
Oh, my number 1 is Saruman.
There we go.
It has to be. It's got
to be.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it can't not be. It's great.
There's no better Christopher Lee role than Saruman the White from Lord of the Rings.
It's
got to be. I think because it's everything. It connects his connection to Tolkien. It's his connection to loving Lord of the Rings so much. Its connection to The Hobbit as well, and it's just it just combines. It's like the ultimate. It combines everything that Christopher Lee loves and his character, and it brings in to Saruman. There's an awesome scene where he's giving that big speech to the army of Uruk-hai, and he's walking in the army, and
is that the "There Will Be No Dawn" speech?
Yeah, I think that's.
I believe it's that one.
I think that's the one, and where he's on the top of the tower, and he's like, he's on the top of the tower, and he's got his arms up, and he's yelling all that magic stuff. It's great. It really is. Saruman the White is just amazing. I think he plays it with such a when he starts off in Lord of the Rings in the Fellowship, he's quite understated. He's quite he's very calm, but then he can also play it big.
Yeah,
he can also play it big, and he can also play it very calculating, very smart, and I love that about Saruman, especially. And when he returned in The Hobbit, which was just a treat, and I think it's what Christopher Lee would have wanted.
Yeah,
I think returning in The Hobbit, especially to play Saruman one last time before his unfortunate passing, is
his final role.
Yeah, I think isn't it?
It's his final role when he was alive. Yeah,
Saruman. Yeah, in the Battle of the Five Armies. I remember I went to the theatre and I watched that, and Christopher Lee turning up was just amazing. It was just amazing. He turns up with Elrond and he saves like Gandalf and Galadriel. They're under attack by like the ring wraiths, and Saruman and Elrond turn up, and they like use their magic or whatever and their skills to fight the ring wraiths. And then Sauron shows up, and then Galadriel like banishes Sauron, and then Saruman turns around. And he goes, "Leave Sauron to me," and that's just a great passing line for him, I think. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh dear. So I promised myself I won't get.
It's just a perfect role.
Yeah, I promised myself I won't get emotional, but I am. I just think it's such an iconic role, and the fact that yes, his aim was to originally get Gandalf, but I think Saruman feeling much better. There is no one else who could do Saruman.
No, Sam. Yeah, he is Saruman. That is literally it.
He is Saruman. Even when I read the books, I think I'd seen the first film before I read the books, and even when reading the books, I always imagined Christopher Lee as Saruman.
Literally the same thing. I read Lord of the Rings after seeing the films. It was the same thing.
It was Christopher Lee was always Saruman. In my head, in my internal monologue, I'd do my best Christopher Lee as Saruman, and it was great. I love it when I can do that with someone. But yeah, it's iconic. It's iconic. It's menacing, and I think he can be a very threatening villain, but also you sort of revel in his evil ways. When he's doing that monologue at the start of Two Towers about bringing the union of Mordor and Isengard. That's just such a great moment. He has so many great moments as Saruman. This is almost making me want to rewatch Lord of the Rings as we speak.
Rewatch it, man.
I will. I might do actually. I might rewatch it. Even The Hobbit.
There's never a wrong time. There's never a wrong time to rewatch any of the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit films.
Christopher Lee managed to read the books every year, so
Well, exactly.
Purely because he enjoyed the writing. So, and obviously he knew Tolkien, but I think Saruman the White, it was both our number ones. There was no doubt in it. I think.
Yeah.
Even when I was writing this list, I knew Corey's number one has got to be Saruman. No one else. But the weekly rec for this week.
Yep.
I have to say, it better be a Christopher Lee film.
It is a Christopher Lee film.
Okay, come on then, lay it on me then.
So, I wanted to pick something maybe not as obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I think I made the correct choice. Obviously, like we've mentioned, Lord of the Rings, great film. However, most people probably seen it or they know what it is, right? Same as Star Wars, great stuff. People probably seen it. So, I said at the start of this radio show, I didn't know much, but I can't remember much about 1974, right? I was in food coma, like I said.
Yes.
However, I do remember the year before, 1973.
Right, okay.
So, my recommendation is coming from 1973.
Okay.
I think it's time for the third time to talk about Lord Summerisle again.
Oh, aye.
Because I'm recommending The Wicker Man.
Okay, look, I would have throttled you if you didn't if it wasn't The Wicker Man. So I had a thought in the back of my mind. I thought, is The Wicker Man going to be his recommendation? Because I think there is no better than Lord Summerisle. And
there isn't. And like even you were saying yours, if people haven't seen it, they need to watch it.
Yeah, and I thought as I was saying that, is it going to be the rec? And it is the weekly rec. So we've said enough about it, but I'm happy to say to say more because it's just there's so much to love. But I will let you. It's your rec. I will let you speak on it.
So I'm sure most people know The Wicker Man.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully from the 1973 one. If you've seen or heard of the remake, ignore that. We don't talk about that. But to briefly sum up the plot, very simple. Someone's gone missing. A guy's gone to an island, I believe it's near Scotland.
Yeah.
To look for this missing female. That's it. That is the plot. He doesn't know anything about the island. He doesn't know anyone on the island. He just goes to an island, and then he gets stuck because I believe it's his boat or his plane breaks. He can't leave. That's the whole plot of the film. It's
incredibly effective, though, isn't it? For such a short run time. It's only an hour and a half, so please get more than anything else we've ever talked about on this show. Go out and watch The Wicker Man 1973.
It's
I cannot recommend it enough. I really can't.
Yeah, like it's. But like, I would recommend if you're gonna watch it twice.
Watch it twice. You're giving a double. Watch it twice.
Because it's one of those films where you watch it once and then you watch it again, and there's so many like small details that you notice.
Yeah.
That you don't notice the first time around, and it's almost like it's better on the second watch.
Even the poster.
It's literally one of my favorite film posters.
Yeah, even the poster is Christopher Lee with his hands up, and the Wicker Man itself stood there burning, and it's everything that like even it's Christopher Lee once said regarding horror, it's what you don't see that's scary. It's the fact that all this island, all this culty, occult stuff that Christopher Lee is bang up for. There was a time where it was rumored that Christopher Lee had more books on the occult than anyone else in the world.
Yeah.
Something akin to 2,000 books on on the occult, or where he was the foremost knowledge on occult in the world, which I think is just amazing to his legacy. But also the fact that it's what you don't see. The fact you see all this sort of very weird. There's that scene with the swords where they're all doing the thing where they put the head in the swords. There's the scene with the big Wicker Man, of course, and there's Lord Summerisle is an absolute highlight.
Oh, it is 100%.
Is an absolute highlight of the film, and he's in a lot of it. I think it's just it's an astounding watch and an amazing watch, and for pure horror, for pure 70s horror, and it's psychological. It doesn't have to be too gratuitous or too gory. It's more weird, really. And I think weird horror is the best horror, where you can just go, wow, this is really strange, but it's like, it's working in such a way where it feels scary, and that's what I think the Wicker Man captures so best. So
yeah, exactly. Just watch it.
Just watch it. Just go out and watch it. You know, just watch the Wicker Man. Just watch Lord Summerisle, especially. It's amazing. But
yeah, exactly.
But to play us out today, we have to go back to Count Dooku.
Right,
we have to go back to Master Yoda. We have to go back to Count Dooku. Your swords, please. Don't make a mess of things in front of the Chancellor. You know? Twice the pride, double the fall. I've already said that.
Before we end off, one thing.
Right.
Because we've been so enamoured by Christopher Lee and how great he is. I'm going to give this film, because this is the thing we do. We're totally professionals.
Oh, yes, our real rating. Yes, come on. Give me the real rating first.
I'm going to break records here.
Right.
It's higher than 8.
Oh God, The Wicker Man is 9.73. It's getting a real rating. It's higher than 8. You madman.
Now, I'm torn, and I'm going to give it... You know what? I'll go in the middle. I'll be very specific, and I'll go in the middle. I'll give it an 8.75.
8.75. We're breaking records today, folks. We're breaking records. An 8.75 for The Wicker Man. Well, as Corey said, just go out and watch it. Go watch it right now after this episode finishes. Find it and watch it. It's that good.
Anyway, back to Star Wars.
Back to Star Wars. Well, the track we're going to be ending on is fitting for Christopher Lee. It is from the Revenge of the Sith 2005 soundtrack, and it is Grievous and the Droids, which is the battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous, and it's related to Christopher Lee because Count Dooku is obviously the master of General Grievous. So I think it's the most fitting orchestral sound for the end of this episode. We haven't actually played any soundtrack sort of orchestra music yet on the real show. So this will be breaking trends twice, for an 8.75 and for our first. But you know, who deserves it other than Christopher Lee? He's the most deserving man.
Exactly. I think it's fitting.
This episode will also go out as a tribute to him, and in remembrance, and as a tribute, and dedicated to his life and his memory. So, enjoy Grievous and the Droids from the Revenge of the Sith 2005 soundtrack. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.